Hope you're feeling airy and everything is evolving in a positive manner. Regardless of the realities which exist in the world. Now, on my previous program, I was speaking about the system of government and the fact that it was created by the slave master and his agents in order to maintain slavery, using the dollar as the slave whip. And I was saying that African scholars, African leaders cannot be defending this system because they did not make it. Now, did they assess it? We do need a think tank in this country that is public, that is honest. Instead, what we have are small 2 persons, 3 persons, little panels that ones of similar thinking or friendship address issues and support each other in certain ideas, certain things out of the box which they are not comfortable with discussing, they avoid. I have presented these things to these scholars or persons who want to be advisors in Guyana to the general population, which is anyone's right. But if you're going to come public, you have to be public. Now, this whole way of discussing things have come out of the political system, whereby panels from the same party have programs without anyone to question them, or for that matter, they don't want to deal with certain topics. That is the real problem I have with them. They speak on what they want to speak to, because questions they don't have the answer to, they just avoid. Now, if you're a real scholar, as people are, or a real advisor, or presenting yourself as being right, you have to be available to be questioned, or you have to discuss all topics, any topic, and have the courage to deal with it. But that means you have to be honest when you speak, because if you speak about things you're not honest about, you're going to speak very wrong things. So the problem has not really been discussed of government. That is why the PPP, who was previously socialist, still say they're socialists, but they don't discuss anything about socialism. But yet they would claim they're socialists. The PNC, well, they have other people in APNU, but they also speak about Burnham, but they don't speak about anything socialist. So, concerning what I've been saying about government and the system being set by Europeans for the specific purpose of maintaining a form of slavery that is not far from the original slavery, whereby certain people end up at the bottom and certain people end up at the top. Or rather, most people end up at the bottom and a few people end up at the top. So all those who end up at the bottom are in slavery. As long as they are working and still at the bottom, then they're in slavery. In slavery, you are robbed. You work 6 to 6, but you are robbed. This system was designed the exact same way, to rob the people at the bottom, which is the majority. And the system of taxation, because this is what it has descended to. That's why I'm saying the government has to tell the people the truth. They have to tell us Africans the truth. Now, to maintain the system, many lies are told. These lies were presented to us by the Europeans. As a matter of fact, they are presented to the whole world. I challenge these things, and that is why I come on here and do that. But I haven't got anyone to answer my challenges. Now, I make statements like, private sector is not the engine of growth. And I always give reasons. And that is the real reason why many people, or so many people, listen to my program. And I'm saying this because I want to say this. But because they call me all the time when they see me on the road. So I am aware of how many people, because it's always new persons I meet that ask me about the program. If they missed an episode or due to it's every other week, maybe they looked a week and they didn't see it and said, wait, what happened to the program? But that makes me know that they've been watching it. And it's different, always different people. Always different people who, like, for the first time, they see me on the road and want to say something to me. And they do. Now, regardless of the state of ignorance that Guyana has descended to, there are sections of the Guyanese population who have increased their knowledge. And this is because they have the discipline to listen and the discipline of brain to assess and judge what they heard. So when you're telling people things, you have to give them the reasons. This is the order of logic. Logic is based on reasons. Logic is based on reason, and reason is based on mathematics. So logic and reason is based on mathematics. Because all answers to questions are basically mathematical. They are basically statistical, analytical. So persons listen. I try to be as clear as I can be. And persons understand. So I do know that the way in which I present things in a logical manner, it's easy because it is persons from all strata of society, educated or uneducated, That's why I said before, and I keep saying, wisdom is based on common sense, logics. There's no sophisticated thinking. It becomes sophisticated when you don't know. But when you find the answer, you will see even what looks sophisticated is a number of simple things come together, step by step. So together they present something sophisticated, like cell phones, like iPhone, and such and any other thing. All these things were improved step by step, step by step. So, telling people lies now will not work in Guyana. And what's happening in Guyana need to spread throughout the whole Caribbean, whereby governments must not be able to just rule and dominate over the citizens through this system which the European gave them with backup and reasoning, because ambassadors and other presenters from the West come into your country and they present these false ideologies, or these false reasonings rather, to support these false concepts that don't represent the truth. I see that they don't. That is why I challenge them. And I still am waiting for someone to challenge me on one of the things I said. And I just gave you an example there. Because private sector has not been an engine of growth of the people. Private sector has been the engine of growth of the private sector. And the private sector has been given privileges under the system because they have capital. So the problem with the system is that the system does not cater for the country. It does not cater for the people. But yet, we are always speaking of the people. One people, one nation, one destiny. It is not. Not when you have 10 million and I have 10 cents. It's not one people. If you had 50 and I had 40, yeah, it'd be one people, and the other man got 45, and we're all around between 40, 50s. You know, nothing wrong with you got a couple cents more than me. You don't make any difference to the reality. If we can all afford the basics of life in a proper manner. But if you can feed yourself 40 times in a day, and I could barely get a meal or barely pay my bill and then I have nothing left, then it's not one people, one nation, one destiny. So the system is the key to the living of the people. Now, to show you we have wise persons here now today. And why a lot of these persons are wise? Because they have been paying attention to history. That's why words are here at the beginning, because this is what we are dealing with. This is what the world deals with in all aspects, whether it's education, whether it's music, whether it's court, whether it's parliament, whether it's analysis, whether it's language, whatever, it's words you will be dealing with. And the first word that African people are supposed to know is history. That's the most important word. Because even if you talk about mathematics, it has a history. You talk about chemistry, it has a history. Even if you want to talk about in the recent times, and you're not able to talk about the real ancient times, the fact remains, history never stops. History is all the time. And history is the same knowledge. That's why I'm saying persons who were paying attention to Guyana's history from that time to this time can tell the difference. That is why this time here you have to tell the truth. Else, telling lies to the people is gonna get you nowhere. Parties used to speak propaganda. But that don't work, that cannot work anymore. Now, for example, and this is why I've been talking to the PNC from a long time. That's before Mr. Granger comes. So, when I speak these things now, it's not nothing new. There's a history of me being on Majesty Music Lesson from 2003 to 2007. There's even a history of me being on air in 2000 to 2001, before and after the 2001 election, where I started speaking about these things. So this system needs a public analysis if we're going to go forward with the system just as it is. Because this is what I'm understanding now. The government understands that there are intelligent people now, more intelligent people, people who were in doubts before, can say now that they're clear on what is what. And this is what I do. I come to answer what is what. And who is who. Because what is what has to do with who is who. That's why, like I said, before the PPP used to speak about socialism, but they don't discuss, they just say they are. So it shows you it's a different set of persons that were in the earlier days. Similarly with PNC, they don't speak about socialism anymore either. So it's a different set of people. The thing about the truth is that the truth never changes. If socialism was nonsense then, well then it's correct being nonsense today. But if socialism was sense then, it's a sense today, it's a sense forever. The truth does not change. Until the Creator makes a different world than this one, then the facts or the truth might change. But as it stands, the truth will not change and cannot change. It would be a madder world than it really is. And the madness that is in the world is because people try to turn the truth into a lie. or they're presenting lies in place of the truth. But the truth is mathematical. Numbers are figures of judgment. They do not change. 1 is 1, 2 is 2, and 3 is 3. 3 is not 3.1. 3.1 is 3.1. When you speak a number, you have to repeat it. You cannot add or subtract anything from that number. So, numbers are figures of judgment. They stand firm. So, the government needs to, now that the 2 years, well, I said from beginning that the government came in, I don't think that there should be any politicking for the first 2 years a government come in. So the government will get a fair chance to succeed. After then, knowing that there will be an election in 3 years' time, then politicking is in order. So there is 1 month more, less than 1 month, I guess 3 weeks, to return to the 15th of May, where the 2 years will be up. And this is why I'm saying that the government, having been given a chance to organize itself, needs to be clear now on what is its program, clear enough that it can present it to the people of what is the plan, or the basics of the plan. What is the policy? Now, people are intelligent. There has been intelligent reasoning going on. People have picked up on the knowledge that the Father made available through persons who are conscious, who are able to reflect on what went on in our early history of this 50 years, and are able to clarify what was sense and what was not. That time we were fresh and ideas were throwing all about and people were in doubts. But after time has passed, time is the cure of knowledge. You can say what you want now, but then after time passes, it will be clear whether what you said was sense or not. This is how time works. This is how history works, because life is a cycle. It's a circle. And those who don't learn are those who refuse to learn. And that's our problem right now in the country. And it has a lot to do with the political system of party trying to convince people that they're always right or righteous. But if that's not the case, time will prove that that's not the case. So, Father Time is the boss. And that's why when the time comes that you have to change from that, you have to. Because you'll be going against the tide. There was a time when people are in doubts. There is right now a section of Guyanese who are not in doubt. So I'm saying to the government that they need to don't be caught up anymore in the game of politics which the European created to divide and destroy societies and have the people in doubts, this one saying that and that one saying that, but they never coming together and clarify it with reasons why I right or why I wrong. They just keep on saying the same thing, and this one keep on saying the same thing. And the people remain dumb. And that is why I come to test what they're saying. Because we cannot afford for the people to remain dumb. The world has gone ahead, and dumb people get crushed. As you see, people are getting crushed all over the world because they are not united, because they are all in doubts as to what is what. And that means who is who. So the government need to let the people know exactly where things are and not depend on the people being in doubts and not certain if the government is making sense or not. The government has to understand that time has passed. And for the African nation has to be wise. It cannot afford to be foolish after 500 years of slavery in today, 2017. No. That's unacceptable to me. So, the leaders are the ones who will be the ones keeping them in illiteracy if they don't tell them the truth about things, the truth about the economy of the country, and not just preaching the European design and making them believe that they're going to prosper from this design, just from this design. No, reality doesn't care what your design is. Your design don't count. What you got to do is only plan to count and making them work. You want to design it in a Hindu style, a Rasta style, a Christian style, whatever style you do, a Jewish style, whatever style you want to design it in. It don't really matter to reality. One and all got to face reality. So I'm calling on the government, which the African nation largely supported, to tell African people the truth so that we can get on with it, so the people can know where they stand, so the people can have confidence in what their future could be if they do such and such and such. The people have to know what they have to do. The people have to know what is the plan. The plans have to be public so that they can be questioned, they can be corrected, they can be modified. To be in the presidency calls for serious courage. That's why anyone is not supposed to be in the presidency or leadership of the country. But this Westminster system causes the opposite. Anyone can be in the presidency and the ministerial post, as we see. As just happened, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Are we going to find ourselves in the same position again? Now, I'm saying this because African people supported this government quite heavily. Now, the other thing is that I was criticizing the African Party consistently because I saw their errors. And even one talk show would ask me, why you always talking about the PNC, you don't want to say about the PPP. I had to tell him, I said, it's my job to talk with the PNC. It's your job to talk with the PPP. And I know there are Indian people who have sense. Whether they had sense before or they learned or they gained understanding. Some of them did vote against the PPP. So, wisdom is not controlled by anyone. It is there in the earth, presented by the Almighty for anyone. So that's something Africans have to realize, or African supporters of the coalition have to realize. Because our African supporters of the PNC are happening. For some of them, keep saying, y'all want the PPP to go back in? Why y'all saying this? No, that don't work no more. That's the same thing the PPP were using. Y'all want the PNC to go back in? They're dead. That's why I used to be criticizing the PNC leadership. Because there's stupidness. They had a time, like I said, when there was Ghanaian history. That's dead. Because that's not intellect. That's just like majority. Majority is not a science of intellect. The majority could be wrong. That's why some Indians didn't vote against the PPP. Because they got too powerful and disrespected even some of their own people. The same mistake the PNC have to ensure it doesn't do. Because the thing they don't work. I personally was never afraid of the PPP being in power. Because I know the intelligence run the earth. Don't we go to America? A first black president ended up in power, was it just like if he wasn't in power? Because it had no effect on the ground of what went on. Really ordinary people concerned. Absolutely no effect. So, those supporters who are using that, don't you think it would be better to operate in a proper manner? So the people would say, yeah, I like how is a different, the true level of black intellect is coming, is returning, you know. Understand that. For example, I was listening to a program today, a Burnham Foundation program. Now there is a lady who called in, and she was speaking about the finance minister, speaking on education. If you want proper education, you got to pay for it. Or if you want good education, you got to pay for it. And she quite clearly explained that if you were saying if people want good education, then education should be free. If you want a society with educated people. And he shouldn't be saying that. And that was never the thinking of the PNC. It was the total opposite. That education must be free so that we can have a brilliant society. So, reasons might sound right, but history will prove if they're right or wrong. And that's why history is right on target right now with the Jubilee. The things that the Europeans have now retaught the African people, they were wrong when Burnham took over, and they're wrong now. Both Burnham and Jagan found them to be wrong. So it's the PNC and the PPP who went wrong. It can be both. So the coalition need to get a think tank and listen to what the thinking people of Guyana, and thinking people have explanations. That's the difference. That's how you know someone is thinking. They have explanations that you can check to see if what they say is so or not. There's a specific reason that Burnham gave free education. It wasn't he pulled a rabbit out of a hat. That's the difference with consciousness. Consciousness is based on reason. Wisdom is based on reason, not guess. And this is what the European have African leaders guessing that he is right. But his job is to make you destroy your population and keep it oppressed, so that there will always be slaves and semi-slaves that he could use. Everyone always running up to the West because their country is not functioning, and he brains drains you. And if you have to go to other means to damage your society, if you're not going along with his nonsense, he goes to the point of doing evil, which he has done over and over again. Operator, I will need you to play a piece of that tape, right? From around like 4 minutes to end of time, right? So persons can hear exactly what I am saying. Now, I'm getting a little dark screen, but I hope you can see. Now, there are so many legacies that Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham left, which are these reports on these congresses. For example, at the beginning of this second Congress, this booklet, he said, when we held our last Congress in August 1975, the economic circumstances of Guyana were different from what they are now. The price of sugar was soaring, and our bauxite and rice production and prices were attractive. Since then, the world price of sugar has fallen below the cost of production. This is since 1975. And floods have played havoc with our bauxite and rice output. In the meantime, our national oil bill has risen from 134 million US to over 200 million US annually, while practically every commodity we have had to import have been subject to wild inflation. It is a poor consolation to remark that Guyana is not singular in her problems. And though it may be of invidious and considered in some cases unfriendly to specify them by name, it is opposite to note that several other nations, socialists and capitalists, are similarly threatened, and in some cases they are engulfed. Quiet reflection and observation will readily prove the accuracy of the above contention. Ghana has been prominent amongst the developing nations that have been arguing for a new international economic order. This argument has taken place at different levels and in several forums, be it the UN, UNCTAD, the Committee of 77, and the Commonwealth. There has also been the so-called North-South dialogue between the representatives of the rich industrialized countries and those from the developing ones. Recommendations and pious protestations have been legion, but it does not take a cynic to describe all the efforts, discussions, and dialogues as an exercise in futility. Very little, if anything, has been achieved to bring about a vital and favorable charge in the lot of the poor nations. Of the raw material producers amongst the developing countries, only those whose resources include oil seem to have been able to make any progress or headway. Well, I will have to leave that off for the next time, right? But Dominic, could you play that tape for me, please? As I have only a few minutes. And I must say that this is an anniversary of His Imperial Majesty's visit to the Caribbean. And right now, the House of Nyabingi is celebrating.
License to do all kinds of things with other people and other societies in violation of international law and every principle of nations working together for a healthier and more peaceful.
No, I was talking to you when it was like about 6 minutes.
Battle to convert the U.S. legal system in such a way that it would give them control of our society. Now we have massive documentation, what they call the secret wars of the CIA. We don't have to guess or speculate. We had the Church Committee investigate them in 1975, gave us our first really in-depth, powerful look inside the structure. Senator Church said in the 14 years before he did his investigation that he found they had run 900 major operations and 3,000 minor operations. And if you extrapolate that over the whole period of the 40-odd years that we've had a CIA,